All right, well, good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us for our 10:30 briefing. Met with some of you at 5 a.m. this morning and got a lot of updates since then, especially since the sun came up and we can start to see the damage around the city. So,
could you tell us who you are and can we have spelling of your name?
I sure can. My name is Paul Heitkamp. Last name is T-E-N, capital H-A-K-E-N. I'm the mayor of Sioux Falls. You're welcome. So one thing I want to start off with right away is that we do have a lot of people asking to help clean up, and Janet Kiddams Lally has been a big help with the Helpline Center, and that will continue to be our tip of the spear on volunteer efforts. So the 211 Helpline Center is what residents will be able to call if they want to volunteer. Volunteers should be 18 years of older on that, just for safety reasons. Same with debris cleanup. If you need help in your neighborhood for cleanup, I ask you to also call 211, and they'll match you up with a set of volunteers. And same with the businesses and property owners are encouraged to do that same thing as well. So a lot of the specifics are regarding the strength of the storm and the cleanup efforts now. I'm going to turn over to my colleagues. The one thing that I want to personally address is the situation we have with our sirens and the rationale or the reason why not all of our sirens sounded during this weather event. So we have warning sirens, as you all know, that are intended to warn outdoor residents when a storm is approaching. And that system, just so you know how that works, it's activated by our dispatch center, 911 dispatch center, with guidance from the National Weather Service. So when the National Weather Service says, hey, we got a tornado in city limits, whatever it is, activate the system, that then goes to our dispatch center at 911 Metro, and they activate that. The tornado activation system also has redundancies, multiple redundancies built into that system. So each year, the city, county, the media, we are constantly talking about the importance of being prepared for a tornado, right? With weather radios and things like that. That includes, having an action plan, supplies, that sort of thing. And then you as the media play an important role in that. Quite honestly, what happened with the system is we just had a human error issue. Only some of our sirens were activated. So when that call from the Weather Service came to Metro, only a partial number of our sirens were activated. So we met about this for about a half hour already today. We already have some plans in place to rectify that going forward. Our system is not broken. It works absolutely just fine. But there is a human aspect to operating a system, and that's what happened in this case. So we're looking into actually redesigning that system per our meeting today. Again, a lot of our focus right now is on the relief efforts, but a lot of people have been asking, why didn't the sirens go off? I just want to remind people that sirens are one piece of the pie that we rely on to notify residents of what's going on with weather. So if you have any questions on that specific piece, I'll certainly take them in the end, but I want our residents to know that our system works. We are looking at some potential weather again tonight. We have a system in place that works, and if we have to utilize it, we'll utilize it. So with the last thing I want to say on that is, and Todd can speak more on this, Todd Heitkamp with National Weather Service, this was an extremely fast-moving system. That in some cases, by the time even our dispatch center was noticed that they should be talking or should be giving the alert, the system was already moved on. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Todd Heitkamp with the National Weather Service. And Todd is going to tell you about some of the specifics of the storm and what they saw from their standpoint.
And again, could each speaker please give us your name
Sure.
and spelling?
Yep, I can do that.
And your title,
And your title.
What do you want it to be? Todd Heitkamp, last name is spelled Heitkkamp. I'm the meteorologist in charge for the National Weather Service here in Sioux Falls. As the mayor said, we had a significant storm that passed through the city last night. It affected or impacted a large portion of the city. At this point in time, I would say probably 3/4 of the city was impacted with strong, severe winds in excess of 90 to 100 miles an hour. There were small, and I shouldn't say small, but there were, let's say, specific locations within the city that experienced higher amount of damage, and those are the ones that we have been assessing so far this morning. As I mentioned earlier this morning, our goal was to get out and take a look at the damage that resulted from these storms to get a better idea on how strong the winds actually were. And having said that, I was able to get out and assess one area. Quite honestly, there's so much traffic around and looky-loos, it's very difficult to get from point A to point B. But I will tell you, I was down in 41st and between Kiwanis and Western. I will say that a tornado did occur there within the strong wind area, and we are rating that an EF2 tornado. That is wind speeds of 125 miles an hour approximately. That is just one area. There's another area that we're going to be focusing in on. That's down at the Avera Heart Hospital as well. And my goal is to get that done here before noon. Granted, if I can get down there, we'll take a look. But we're going to get that done. For those of you that were not here this morning, I want to go through a little bit of the time frame of what happened last night. Let's see, at 10:47, a severe thunderstorm warning was issued for southwest Minnehaha and western Lincoln counties, where we're expecting 70 to 80 mile an hour winds. At 11:04, a tornado warning was issued for northern Lincoln County, including southern Sioux Falls, all of Harrisburg, as well as T. 11:13, severe thunderstorm warning for all of Sioux Falls for 80 mile an hour winds and possible tornadoes was mentioned. At 11:26, a flash flood warning was issued for the city. And then at 11:27, a tornado warning was issued for the remainder of the city of Sioux Falls, including all of within Minnehaha County. At 11:30, our office took shelter itself. My employees thought they felt that their safety was being jeopardized, so they themselves took shelter. All the responsibilities for issuing warnings was passed up to our sister office up in Aberdeen. And then at 11:38, we received the first confirmation of the tornado in southern Sioux Falls. I will also say that the wireless emergency alert system that many of you received a notification on your phone worked the way it was supposed to. Some people are having issues with that. If you have issues with that, I would tell the public to contact your cell phone provider or look at your phone to make sure it's working properly. All our weather radio transmitters were working properly. They issued the warning, and all our warnings were issued and provided a 10 to 20 minute lead time or advance warning to the general public, and allowing them to take the proper precautions that they needed to. I will also tell you, for you history buffs, and people said that tornadoes can't occur in the city of Sioux Falls. They do, obviously, after this. The last one we had here in Sioux Falls, really of any significance, was down at Frankman Motors in October of 1996. So it's been a while. Okay? With that, I will also tell you, the mayor mentioned the possibility of severe weather, rougher weather again tonight. There's a potential for it, a smaller potential than what we saw last night. The heavy rain potential that we were looking at this morning now has shifted to the north and west of Sioux Falls, but still we're not out of the woods. We still are going to be dealing with some thunderstorms, mainly between about 7 p.m. and about 1 or 2. And I'll be more than happy to take questions at the end. Paul? Sorry, Eric.
My name is Eric Pauly. I'm the Community Relations Manager for Xcel Energy here in Sioux Falls. Spelling is E-R-I-C. Last name is Pauly, P-A-U-L-I. A little update on the electric system that we've got going on. Right now we have a little under 8,000 customers that are out of power. That's kind of fluctuating back and forth based on now that we have daylight, we can get out there, we can assess some of the damage. Folks are coming out of the house and they're seeing what they've got, if there's trees on their lines, et cetera. So that's the rough count right now. Again, that's fluctuating, and we're working to bring that down as quickly as possible. We started at about 25,000 customers out of power, so we're making good progress via some of the work that our crews are doing out there. In total, we've got additional crews coming into Sioux Falls. When all those crews get here, and hopefully that will be in the next coming hours, there's some of them rolling in already, we're going to have 400 employees strong. That includes field staff. That includes local designers, all of our internal folks in the office as well. So we will be fully staffed. That's part of our mutual aid program that we have, where we work with the other utilities. In this case, we're able to pull some of the contractors in from different areas, as well as some of our staff from some of our other areas in North Dakota, Minnesota, et cetera. We do have some social media posting up right now. We're trying to communicate some of this information out to our customers via social media. I think there'll be a lot of people out there clicking today, taking pictures. sharing messages and so on. So take a look at the social media. There's a bunch of different resources on there for outages and so on that folks can utilize. Make sure if you do have a power outage that you are calling that in or sending an outage notification via your account and so on. Go to our website and get those outages notifications posted, so that way then we can get them on our queue and get our crews out there as quickly as possible. If you do have a mast, if you have an overhead service and you do have a mast that is bent over or broken laying on the ground, call those outages in. We will come out. We can always disconnect if need be. You will need an electrician to come out there and repair it, and it will need an inspection. So keep that in mind. That information is also on the social media website and will be posted on our actual XL Energy website as well. So we want to make sure that message is out there so folks aren't waiting for that re-hook up again, because in some cases these lines may be on the ground from tree branches that have broken the lines down, etc. That is about all I've got for right now. We'll have more updates as the day goes along. And I'll turn it now over to Mark Cotter at the City of Sioux Falls. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Good morning. I'm Mark Cotter. I'm the Director of Public Works, MARKCOTTER. I'll give you a window into what we're seeing out there on the streets. Now that it's light out, we can really have a sense of really where the epicenters of the hardest hit damage areas are. There's significant tree damage in that as we've had a number of streets blocked, as we can start to get through those streets, the extent of the tree damage is growing. We got a number still of down power lines. Damage to property and homes is extensive. Lots of debris in the streets and in private parking lots. And we've got a number of traffic signals that are either not energized or with the high winds, those signal heads have been moved. We've got all of our crews that work on those assets and a private contractor in assisting us to try to get those up and going. Todd Hill Park is closed due to the storm damage. Bike trail system is also flooded in some areas, so use extensive caution. There's barricades going up as we speak, so please respect the barricades. We have a number of crews. We have about 8 city street crews that are out going through methodically to the arterial streets to open them up. The mayor did sign the disaster declaration this morning, so it allowed us to accelerate and bring on 3 other local contractors that will add about 12 more crews. So we'll have about 20 crews going down respective arterial streets and methodically moving some of those large trees and in some cases loading them up, hauling them to our tree drop-off sites. We'll take a very organized process, but kind of the central area we're starting from is 41st and Western. We're going west, we're going east, north, and then we're going several miles south. As you continue to assess your damage, we want you to call 211 and let 211 know the extent of your damage. We're going to use their database to understand the extent of the private property damage. Again, the main area damage is bookmark from Marion Road out to Cliff Avenue and from 26th Street down to 85th Street. There's damage outside that area, but the significant area is inside that area. We are working to clean up some of the data that's on the public site that we mentioned this morning, and so continue to go out there. As we clear areas, we'll remove some of those conflicts and just make that more usable, more readable. We do have the 2 tree debris sites open, and they're active already. We've got a number of private entities that are using them, and so certainly when you move in those and try to use those as efficient as possible, they're going to get very busy, but we are going to continue to have extended hours. We're going to run those 12 hours a day, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. For 7 days a week, and we'll keep those open until the end of September.
Can you tell us which 2? I know that you mentioned 12th and Lions. What was the other one?
The other one is at Chambers Street and Cliff Avenue, and they're both on our map, our public map. And so those are common sites for other drop-off sites that we routinely do during the year, so it should be normal to our residents to have those sites. But we have some changeable message boards up near those areas too that's directing people into those sites. Again, for non-tree storm debris, we want all that material to go to the landfill. That is also free of charge if it's storm related, and so certainly use that. Our normal landfill hours are 7:30 to 5 p.m. Monday through Saturday. Just let you know that the Cayley Branch Library has some roof and shingle damage. Many trees are down. The Oakview Branch Library has some trees down. Staff continues to assess our facilities and we'll make those damage assessments. For neighborhoods that are in the zone for this week's Project Nice and Keep pickup, a lot of that debris got spread around. We want those residents to go out and retrieve that and kind of restack it. And then when we get through this sort of first tier of recovery, we'll return and address that project. And then again, just if you come to an intersection that's not working, not energized, just treat it again like a four-way stop. All right, next up is Dave Fleechek, President and CEO of Avera McKinnon Hospital. Dave?
Thanks, Mark. Good morning, David Fleechek, D-A-V-I-D, F-L-I-C-E-K, President and CEO of Avera McKinnon Hospital. So it's been a long night. Avera has had a number of facilities that have severe damage. Avera Heart Hospital and the clinic, the Avera Behavioral Health and Clinic, our sports dome, and the facility of our corporate office also is out of commission. So it kind of went right through that area. We talk at our hospital about doing drills. I got to tell you, our staff was courageous. They had 10 minutes to wake up 102 residents, get them to the center of the building, and all are safe and sound. So we're very pleased with that. We had 7 people who had some minor injuries from some roof coming in on them, but nothing severe. So we're happy with that. All are safe and sound. We had 102 patients in last night. 3 went to the Avera Heart Hospital. 33 went to Avera McKinnon. We had transportation ready. 39 adolescents spent the night in the gym. And so today we're discharging some of them, and we're trying to find places for the adolescents. 2 went home, and 23 adults actually stayed in the adult unit last night, so we were pleased with that. The city has been great to work with. The state has been great to work with. We're going to have an intermediary plan here. The Behavioral Health Hospital probably will not be open for another 3 to 6 months. So we're going to have to figure out how to handle our behavioral health patients. Some will stay on campus at Avera McKinnon, but we're working with state officials right now to help us with the logistics of what we're going to do there. But it was a long night, and I got to tell you, our staff was fabulous, courageous. They did what they're supposed to do. They stayed calm, and they did a great job for our patients, so we're very pleased with that. I'd like Mick Gibbs just to give a quick update on the Avera Heart Hospital as well.
Thanks, Dave. My name is Mick Gibbs, M-I-C-K-G-I-B-B-S, and I'm the CEO of the Avera Heart Hospital. I would first like to express my appreciation for the city as well as the private entities within this city's partnership in getting the Heart Hospital back to operational. So we actually never stopped treating emergencies last night, and in the middle of the tornado we had a patient who had a severe cardiac event and had his life saved right in the middle of the tornado. And so while we have canceled elective procedures today and clinic appointments, we are busying ourselves with the work of getting our building ready to take patients as soon as tomorrow and full operations by middle of next week. So if we seem tired, if Dave and I seem tired, we beg your forgiveness because we haven't slept yet, and neither have our staff. And so we thank you for your understanding as we are threadbare. The work of responding to an emergency like this takes a family. More than a team, it takes a family, and I couldn't be more proud of the way Avera and Avera Heart Hospital and Avera Behavioral Health pulled together and responding to this major catastrophe. And the good news is the things that we need to fix are replaceable, and that there were no casualties as a consequence of this very serious event. For a young man who was born and raised in tornado country, in fact, my high school mascot was a tornado in southeast Kansas. This is the worst tornado I've ever seen, and I couldn't be more proud of the way this wonderful community responded, both private and public. I want to give special commendation to Journey Construction, who showed up to the Heart Hospital last night, in the middle of the night, to ready us for today's work. Landscape, Lawn and Garden, and Cut and Kill showed up to the Heart Hospital campus, and we had the parking lot cleared by 9:30 in the morning. And our staff had their vehicles destroyed. Our physicians had their vehicles destroyed while they were saving lives last night. And if there's no better testimony to selflessness, I don't know if there is. I thank you. Thank you, Dave.
Thanks, Vic. So as I said, it was a long night. We have a number of clinics that will be closed today, and we're going to try to get some temporary space for them tomorrow. That's University Psychiatry and Midwest Psychiatry. We're trying to find places for them. I have to tell you, the first responders, the police, they were just awesome. They were there right away helping in the building. So I want to thank the city for that. They were just awesome helping us. So thank you, folks. Other than that, I just got to give a shout out to the staff. They remained calm and they did their job, which is what we're supposed to do. So I thank you. And now next up is Jason Gilman.
Good morning, Jason Gilman, Jasongearman. I'm the Director of Emergency Management for Minnehaha County. There was, as far as the county area is concerned, there was some damage, but obviously the severity of the damage was in Sioux Falls. So the majority of our resources will be available for Sioux Falls, and whatever they need, that's what we're here to provide, along with the law enforcement end of it too, if they need help. I don't have much more than that, but now we're going to open it for questions, and I'll probably bring back up Mayor Tenhagen.
Any questions for myself or any of these folks here today?
Did you ever find out how many sirens were working versus how many were not?
Not a quantity. It was the the southeast part of the city that was activated. So the way the system works is you have the opportunity within the software to either turn them all on or turn portions on. And with the discussion of the southeast part, the tornado was in the southeast. The dispatcher heard southeast, turn on southeast only. It was literally a miscommunication. It's that simple. So we already have things in process that we're going to implement to ensure that that can't happen again.
When you say things to implement, you mean to put it one switch, make it all?
Yeah, exactly. Looking at the software, is there a different levels tiered access where that isn't an option anymore? Also looking at what we're going to be doing immediately is creating what we call a buddy system, so that two dispatchers have to leave calls, but they both do that together, so they're a check and balance for each other when the call comes in to activate the sirens. So that's something we'll do right away.
How many sirens are around town total?
Where's Regan? Did I hear 70 some? 77. Yeah.
Is there anything you want to say to residents who might be upset about it or concerned?
All I can say is, there's parts of government that require human interaction, and this is one. And I'm owning it. It's my team. It's my administration. That's why we met already on it this morning at 8 a.m. When trees were still down and people are still without power, we've already had meetings on this. So I'm taking it very seriously and pretty confident in the steps we have to rectify it. So I don't want to call it a non-issue going forward, but I can guarantee you that everyone around the table this morning felt the gravity of the situation, and we're dealing with it. So,
what's the most important message you're trying to get out to residents right now? Not necessarily about sirens,
Sure.
but just in general.
Probably the most important message I want to get out right now is thanks for the resilience of our community. I've seen Dave just mentioned it with his staff, and we were just out at the Avera campus and talking with staff from Intech and Landscape Garden Centers and Journey Construction. And man, when something like this happens, our community is extremely responsive and extremely supportive. And so we're already seeing massive cleanup efforts that are happening. And so if the community can continue to band together and help us out, the quicker we can do that, the quicker we can get back to the new normal after this event. So just a note of thanks to the community for the work they've done, and we're going to need that going forward for the next several weeks ahead. One thing I also failed to mention in my remarks is I have heard from all of our federal delegation. The governor is on her way right now, be here about 2:30. I talked to her, and she's also actually been contacted by the White House. So all the way from the White House down to our congressmen and everyone in between has all reached out to the city of Sioux Falls asking what we need right now. So I think that also speaks to the family nature of Sioux Falls and South Dakotans and how we work together in something like this.
Are gas lines still a concern over there? Should people be avoiding that area for that reason?
You know, with the gas line question, I'm going to maybe, is Fessler, could you maybe speak to that, or is Good Road here?
Chief's not here, but I can come on.
Okay. Sorry to put you on the spot, but
No, thanks.
you're the gas man today.
I guess. Steve Fessler, Fessler, Division Chief with Sioux Falls Fire Rescue. As far as gas leaks go, we did have, with some of the uprooting of trees and different structure integrity, some gas lines were busted. And as of right now, from what I understand, we're checking those out. We're working with Mid-American Energy to make sure all those are shut off. The big reminder is if you have had your gas shut off, is not to try to turn it back on yourself until you reach out to utilities and Mid-American Energy to do that for you. So it's all work in progress. I do not know right now the extent of it out there. I do know there were some gas leaks.
Should people at all be concerned in that area? I know a lot of people, those business owners are getting back into their buildings. Is that a concern at all?
Well, you'll want to definitely pay attention to it if you're a homeowner or a business owner. If you smell it, call 911, let us know so we can get out there and check it.
Chief Goodrow this morning said there's 37 buildings that were either collapsed or had serious structural damage from this. Is that number still steady, or has that gone up, or where is that right now?
I do not have a definite number for you right now. That was kind of a rough estimate this morning from the various calls we were taking at that time. So a definite number I do not have for you. Thank you.
The 211's available to help with property cleanup. To be clear, private property owners are responsible for clearing their own property or finding their own volunteers.
Correct. But I will say there's a bevy of volunteers that are ready to help with that effort. So we're not requiring an 85-year-old lady to go out in her yard and take care of her branches. There's a lot of people who are ready to step up and help.
This morning, we said no deaths had been reported and no major injuries. Is that still the case?
That is still the case, you know, and so I think if there's a silver lining in this whole thing, it's that. Yeah, I mean, and all you have to do is go out to a Veris campus and see how devastating the damage is out there. And I mean, cars turned sideways in their slots, all the windows blown out, the debris. We saw part of Arch, if some of you know Sioux Falls lore, you know Arch Beal, and you know he's got some grain bins a long ways away, and part of his grain bin was in the backyard of the behavioral health campus. And it just, with that level of debris flying around, I think we're very fortunate to have not even any real serious injuries yet to this point. So,
Were any landmark buildings or historical structures damaged?
You know, I haven't heard of any real historical buildings being structured. You know, most of our historical structures are in the core of the city, and a lot of the landmarks are in the core of the city. And this stayed mostly on the south end of town. So there's a great stress test on our Arc of Dreams, which is still standing, I hear this morning. So that baby is strong. That's our new sculpture we put in our downtown a couple months ago. So.
Is the area still at the fairgrounds for people who need any assistance?
The Red Cross is open and is open to providing assistance at the fairgrounds. They opened about 4 a.m. and I know they're serving people out there right now. So that's also a great place for anyone who has needs, housing needs or otherwise.
Do you have any more specifics on what we mentioned?
Yeah, specifically, both North Central Heart Clinic and the Heart Hospital is damaged. The Heart Hospital is up and running, their ER is up and running, so the Heart Hospital patient rooms were not affected at all, so they're up and running right now. Avera Behavioral Health, severe damage, every floor. And so we will have to relook at that. It's going to take some time. We're getting an assessment. Journey's been a great partner. They've been out there early this morning. I can't say enough, as the mayor does, that everyone just comes to the rescue. We're getting flooded with phone calls for help, and so we appreciate that. Right now, we'd like you to stay away from Avera Behavioral Health so that we can just get in there and assess everything. And the clinics did not take a direct hit, the psych clinics, but because it's connected with the Avera Behavioral Hospital, we don't know if we can occupy it yet. So that's why we've kind of shut down those clinics. One corner office really got decimated there, so we're going to look at that. And the corporate office is closed, so they had their atrium windows, some of them blew out as well. So we're right now assessing, really placing 102 patients. I think we're going to get some pediatric patients at the Avera McKinnon campus, some adolescents at the Avera McKinnon campus. And then we're working with state officials to see where we can house another 60 or 70 patients. So, but we'll get that done.
Just a disaster declaration. The practicality of that is so you don't have to get council approval to bring in contractors and things like that?
That's exactly it. It allows us to not have to abide by the competitive bidding laws of state government. So with some of the equipment we need to take care of some of the damaged parts of the city, especially the trees, we had a couple pieces of equipment we need to get ordered on a truck and here right away. So it allows me as the mayor to authorize our purchasing department to go forward with that without council approval.
Will the city utilize state inmates to help in this cleanup?
It's very likely. I have not reached out to Warden Young yet on that, but as you know, Warden and I have met on that this week on another topic. So looking at how we can continue that partnership, it will make a lot of sense. So we're very open to that, and we'll likely be using that.
Mr. Heitkamp, can I ask you a question on the tornado?
Sure.
How do you assess that? How do you determine if it's a tornado? And what's the activity?
And what was the last part?
What's the category that you gave?
Yeah, how we go about doing it, and the question is, how do we go and assess the strength of the tornado and whether or not we actually had one? You have to look at the debris, and for most of you, I can say we play, Sherlock Holmes and try to put the pieces of the puzzle together. For all you young people that don't know who Sherlock Holmes is, and let's think of CSI. That type of thing where we go back and look at how things unfolded and how the debris ended up to where it is now, where it was first, now where it is after the storm. We look at that, or I look at that, try to figure out how heavy the debris is, how far it was tossed, things like that. That will give me an assessment on how strong the winds are. And then once I determine how strong the winds are, that will give me what we call an enhanced Fujita scale rating. That scale rating runs from EF0 to EF5. EF0 is the weakest, EF5 is the strongest. And this one here happens to be an EF2.
Do you know for how long the tornado went on?
We don't, the time frame is very tough because a lot of that area lost power. So we know approximately when the tornado hit, but we don't know when it lifted. I can tell where it lifted looking at the damage, but as far as the time frame is concerned, that's really hard to do at this point in time. And we're going to be talking to the residents when things calm down. I don't want to, intrude on them. They have to take care of their own families and situation, but we'll eventually get to talk to them and try to determine that.
And where did you say the area was?
The one I looked at today so far this morning was from about 33rd Street down to 41st Street in between Kiwanis and Western, in the area of Best Buy and that area.
We had a report last night, I think, of one near 85th and Western.
Yeah, there's another one, and I'm sure there's going to be a few more as we haven't even been down to, look at Avera. Again, these are not, I want to emphasize, this is not the tornado that your grandma grew up with, okay? These are not the Oklahoma type of tornadoes. These are not the Kansas type of tornadoes. They don't form on the backside of the storm where most of the tornadoes do actually occur. These occurred on the front side of the storm, making it very difficult. not only to detect, but also to see, because they are so quickly developing, and then they dissipate just that quick. We saw the signs of that heading into Minnehaha County, and that's why we issued the warning well in advance before it hitting the city of Sioux Falls. But what made these even more difficult, and you think about the number of times that people go outside looking at these storms as they're approaching the community. You couldn't see anything last night. Number one, the sun was set. It was 11 o'clock at night, but the rain was coming down in sheets. That thankfully scared enough people to take further action to get themselves and the family to the place of safety that they needed.
There was quite a bit of rain north of town.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about with more weather coming, how's the water level doing along the river, maybe up by Del Rapids or Baltic?
Yeah, I can't tell you exactly the levels that we're at this point in time. I've been on the road looking at damage for the past 3-4 hours, so I don't know for sure, but I will tell you that the river levels have jumped up dramatically. But that's also a response. I mean, we've had a wet spring and summer. I'm not saying anything different than people already know. The river levels have come down the past month, but not to where they normally are. And so any rainfall that we got last night would already cause those river levels to rise. And then with the additional rainfall we're expecting tonight, I would ask residents that if you have dealt with flooding this spring or summer, maybe take the steps to minimize the potential danger that you may have, the potential impacts you may feel later on tonight.
So we could possibly see the river crest.
Crest?
Out of its banks, maybe?
No, I'm not going to say it's going to be out of its banks, because again, it depends where that rainfall occurs. Now, the forecast for tonight calls for that rainfall to shift further to the north and west. So it's not going to fall within the city limits of Sioux Falls, within the flood control system that we have. So the residents of Sioux Falls really, that's a totally different animal compared to, let's say, Baltic and Del Rapids and everything like that. But with the rainfall that we expect tonight, that river won't crest immediately tonight. It's going to be, a day or two yet. Okay.
Thanks, Todd. Any other questions for any of these folks?
This project nice and keep on hold?
It is. Indefinitely, yeah. All right. If not, Sandy, do we know if and when we're going to do another media briefing today at all?
I guess we really haven't talked through
Okay.
it that far. It's kind of based on what we see for assessments coming up, but if we do, we can push the message out.
Got it. All right. Great. Thanks for being here, everyone. Appreciate it.